To some other news now, the Oilfields Workers Trade Union today presented letters to 3 independent senators seeking their assistance in voicing the union's concerns about the oil spill. The union members waited outside the Parliament building where they approached the independent senators before the start of the Senate. Meanwhile, opposition leader Dr. Keith Rowley says he is standing with the OWTU and for good reason.
The Oilfields Workers Trade Union had moderate luck in presenting letters to the independent senators to seek their assistance in articulating the position of the union on Petrotrin's response to the oil spill. OWTU President General Ansel Roger is appealing for an independent inquiry into the true cause of the oil spills that slicked across the southern peninsula.
What do we expect to come out of this? We expect that the independent senator, holding independent minds and positions of issues of national importance, that they would meet with us and we would present our case, which case we verily believe to be true, factual and solid. We managed to deliver letters to Senator Mahabir, Senator Drayton and Senator Vera. We are still waiting the arrival of the other, 6 senators to hand deliver to them.
Earlier on Tuesday, OWTU representatives picketed outside the Hyatt for a second consecutive day, where a 3-day energy conference is taking place. The picket was to highlight the union's discontent with Petrotrin's management of the oil spill. The OWTU had previously requested a meeting with the Prime Minister. When that failed, the union reached out to its former political adversaries, opposition leader Dr. Keith Rowley and ILP leader Jack Warner. Dr. Rowley, speaking at a political meeting in the San Fernando East constituency on Monday night, said millions are being spent by Petrotrin to clean up a mess the oil company made. He said the union has documents to prove its arguments, but the Prime Minister declined to read them.
The OWTU to receive the Petrotrin documents which show that by 6 o'clock on the morning of December 17th, Petrotrin knew that there was a major oil spill that took place in the Gulf. And that the first time they were aware that something was wrong was 4 o'clock that morning. And they thought it was a faulty pump. And they changed the pump to another pump and kept on pumping and just kept on pumping more fuel into the Gulf. Petrotrin documents confirming that.
Once again, both the opposition and OWTU are calling for an independent inquiry into the source of the oil spills, independent of the oil company and of the union, with local experts who have the national interest at heart. Vani Singh, C News.
Petrotrin estimates a total of over 50 million in losses associated with the oil spill. Petrotrin's incident commander Jamaluddin Khan says the costs could force Petrotrin to continue to operate at a significant loss over the next 2 to 3 years. But he says the oil company is working on a business plan to help them bounce back. Melissa Dasrath has more on the discussions coming out of day 2 of the energy conference at the Hyatt.
Petrotrin's oil spill recovery is racking up an enormous bill at the expense of the oil company's operations. But is there a recovery plan in place for Petrotrin to ensure the national oil company can balance the profits and the losses? Petrotrin's incident commander, Jamaluddin Khan, says cleanup costs and payments to contractors and oil spill response limited amounted to 20 million. And another 5 million was paid out in compensation to affected fence-line communities. The total cost is expected to rise.
The anticipation is that we'll have a further 12 to 15 million to pay. And that is for soils rehabilitation for the mangrove cleanup and the residual polishing to do. So the anticipated total cost for the cleanup itself is somewhere in the range of 33 to 35 million, what we estimate. The other thing that I neglected to mention this morning is that the fine that was levied on us by the EMA is a further 20 million. So the total cost of this exercise we expect should be somewhere that 33 to 35 plus 20 million additional. So you're talking just over 50 million in total.
Mr. Khan says Petrotrin is already at a loss from 2013 and into 2014. And every cent that is not being spent on exploration or production is a waste.
In the context of everything, 50 million is going to hurt us. But overall, as far as the cash generation is concerned, our projects are sufficiently robust to take some of it. Not that it is a desirable thing. We'd prefer not to have paid this. we'd prefer not to have had these incidents occur. It will end up coming out of our operating costs in the final analysis. You need to look at this in context. The total capital investment program for the upstream division this year is somewhere in the region of 2.9 billion TT dollars. So 50 million is in fact equivalent to, I'd say, about 1.5 wells that we'd have been able to drill in the Trinidad operation. So it's cost that is certainly not welcome.
Although the refinery is operating at a loss, the upstream is generating a profit. Petrotrin is finalizing a business plan to help them bunker out for the next few years.
Now going forward, obviously the expectation is that the refinery margins are going to continue to be somewhat thin over the next 5 years. But the expectation is that on the upstream side, we have very robust plans for increasing our indigenous crude production. And that is where we expect to generate some additional cash to come out of the red within the next two to 3 years.
Mr. Khan said despite the costs attributed to the oil spill cleanup, Petrotrin will continue to spare no expense. But he acknowledges that no amount of money spent could absolve them of the damage that was done. Melissa Dastroth, CNews.